Hey guys, it's me Jocelyn. So today I'm going to be showing you how to do some After Effects inspired transitions on Alight Motion. So these are transitions I personally use on After Effects, and I just decided I'd show you guys how to do them on Alight Motion. So yeah, let's just get started. First things first, we're going to be doing this warped zoom in transition. So what I did is I made sure that I had tiles on both of my clips. I already had them added. And then I went to the zoom in panel, added two keyframes, one at the beginning and one at the end, and then I zoomed my photo in. This is the graph that I used for that. I enabled overshoot for this graph, and that's like really important because you need to have that like kind of like hesitation before you zoom in, like that a little bit. And then what I did on my second clip is I just finished that zoom in transition with a zoom out transition. Now this part's super important. You're going to want to add on circular ripple to your first clip, make your frequency 1, make your phase negative 0.78, and add two keyframes, one on strength, one at the beginning, one at the end, and on the second keyframe, make sure the strength is 202, and this is the graph that I used for the strength. Then I also added on pinch and bulge, and I made my radius 1.055, and I added two keyframes for strength, one at the beginning, one at the end, and on the one at the end, I made it 0.83 positive, and I just did a simple in graph for that as well, and I also enabled overshoot for this graph. So once you have all of that added, your photo should end up looking like that, or your clip should end up looking something like this. Now to finish off that transition on the second part, I added pinch and bulge again, but instead, also I made the radius about like 0.690 this time. Your radius doesn't have to be the exact same, but it's probably better if it is, just so it could be more accurate, but mine wasn't, so it's not going to be the end of the world. So I also added two keyframes for strength on the second clip. The first keyframe was negative 1.00, and the second one was just 0, and then I just did a simple out graph for this transition. So yeah, this is your first transition. You could add on any effects like exposure or hue shift, even glow if you wanted. It could definitely spice the transition up. This next transition is going to be a 2-photo slide down, so you're going to want to have 3 photos. Your first clip, and then you want to have your first clip underneath your second clip and underneath your third clip as well, but you're also going to want your second clip underneath your third clip, so you're basically just going to have all your clips set up like this. So you can completely ignore this clip right here, the bottom one, and go straight onto the first layer. So you're going to go ahead, go onto that and tap and add on wipe, and you're going to want to make the start angle 25.0, and you're going to want to make the end angle about 80.0. Now just go ahead and slide that right over to the left side of your screen. I'm going to copy and paste that effect, and I'm going to add it onto this photo right here. And then what I'm going to do is I'm just going to slide that over to the other side, just like this. Okay. So now what you want to do is on this one, you're going to want to have this photo slide down. So add two keyframes for position, one at the beginning and one at the end. And on the first one, slide your photo up like this. Now just go ahead and do a simple out graph. You can make it as fast or as slow as you'd like. I'm also going to adjust the settings on my wipe because I did not make it skinny enough, I guess. So I'm just going to make that about 73 degrees. So now on this second clip, I'm going to add two keyframes on position, one at the beginning and one at the end. And on the one at the beginning, I'm going to slide it down the opposite way I did the first photo. Like this. So as you can see, this is what your transition looks like right now. Now what you want to do is you want to go to shapes, hit the plus button and go to shapes, and add on this long rectangular thing right here and stretch that as far as you can. You can make it any color you want. I'm going to make mine a light pink. This. Then I'm going to put that right here. I'm going to line it up with this photo right here because it's going to come down and appear once this photo comes down and appears. So it's basically going to do this. It's going to just be there. You can slide it up a little bit to kind of make it appear or disappear. It's whatever you want. Make sure the graph lines up. Also, what I like to do is I like to go to the opacity of this, and I like to add a keyframe right here, and then move it a couple frames and make it visible just so it looks like the line, like the colorful bar is sliding down with the first photo. So it looks like that, and then the second photo slides up. You could definitely make this smoother. I'm going to adjust the feather on these clips real quick and make it look smoother, so yeah. And this should be your final transition. You could also add on some exposure or flashes to make it look better. Now, this next transition has been a personal favorite of mine lately because I don't see it too often, but it is also so simple and looks super cool to do. It is a radial wipe. So what you want to do is have your two photos set up like this. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to go into my top photo and I'm going to type in radial wipe. And I'm going to add that on. Now, I'm going to go to feather first off, and I'm going to change it. I love the smooth effect on the edges. I don't like how the edges are just so straight, so I add a little bit of softness onto them. And then what I do is I go into progress, and I make the I go into progress, and I make the progress 360 degrees for the first keyframe. And on the second keyframe at the end, I make the progress 0. Now, you guys can adjust the graph on how fast it goes and whatnot. This is how I like it right here. I might want to slow that down just a bit, but I think it looks pretty good. Now what I do is I also add tiles onto the top clip as well that has the radial wipe applied, and I do a 90-degree spin. So I do negative 90 degrees or around negative 90 degrees for the spin. And I also add an out graph, obviously, to make it look smooth. And you can do this if you want, it's optional, but I think it adds a lot of effect to the photo. And the last thing I do to the top clip is I go to color and light and I find hue shift. And I add one keyframe at the beginning and one at the end, and I just make the photo change colors. You can do it as vibrant or as little vibrant as you'd like. You don't even have to add it at all. I just like the way that it looks. And if you don't like how you can kind of see it coming in, what you can do is add a little bit of an opacity fade on it. So you can turn on the opacity, add a keyframe, move a couple frames forward, add another keyframe, and then just make it the full opacity. And I'm going to add on motion blur real quick to that so I don't forget. And this should be the final result of the radial wipe. Like I said, super simple but also super cool. What I like to do is if my person is also holding a phone, like in this clip right here, if I can see the cameras on it, I will add on some type of like light rays to it and make it look like the phone is flashing and add different colors to the phone flash too. That's completely optional and it sounds a little bit absurd, but it makes your edit look super cool. And yeah. This last transition I use on almost every single one of my badass edits on After Effects, and it is a circular zoom in with wave warp and exposure. So first things first, you're going to want to go onto your clips, you're going to want to have them set up like this, and add on exposure and gamma. I added 2 keyframes for exposure, one at the beginning and one at the end, and at the beginning one I made it 0.4, and at the end I just made it 0. And then I also added on wave warp. Now I made my spacing 66.2 and I added 2 keyframes for magnitude, one at the beginning and one at the end. And the first keyframe is 4.0 and the second keyframe is just 0. And I just did a kind of fast out graph for that one, so it ends up looking like this. Now the next thing you're going to want to do is add on a circle shape. So go to the plus, go to your shapes and add on a circle, and make sure that your circle fits as much of the photo as you'd like. Make sure it's not touching the edges right here. And I'm going to just extend that to the duration that my actual clips are. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to hold down on the circle right here. It does not matter what color your circle is. And I'm going to hold on the top clip as well. And I'm going to hit this right here. It's going to mask it into a circle. Now comes the fun part. You're going to want to go onto that group and mask, go to move and transform, and go to the zoom in panel. Add 2 keyframes, one at the beginning and one at the end. And on your keyframe at the beginning, zoom it out as far as you can. Now just go ahead and add on a super fast out graph like this, and make sure on the second keyframe that your photo is zoomed in all the way. Now this is optional, but I really like the look of it being zoomed in, like the circles coming and just zooming in the entire photo and not just leaving the shape of a circle, if you know what I mean. So you might have to adjust your graph if you're going to do it that fast, but this is what it should end up looking like. And honestly, I love doing this transition on every single edit that I do. I think it just adds character, and even if you wanted, you could add on feather to it as well, to the circle, so it's not such like sharp edges. I'm going to make mine very subtle like this. I don't know, that's just preference to me because I hate when it's just regular straight edges. I like to add a little bit of softness onto it, and yeah. That was it for today's video. I hope you guys enjoyed it. If you did, please give it a thumbs up and subscribe, and comment down below any tutorial requests you guys may have. Also, we are so close to 43K, so thank you guys so much. I love you, and I'll see you guys in the next video. Bye!